chatting, and then hit record, and we're live. And let's cover, say hi to the internet kind of deal, and all the watchers, since this isn't a gaming stream, but just a chatting stream. Um, I want to cover the topic of the United States Marines and why we joined from the very beginning of, I guess, our life as young teenager and what make us want to go the route of military, and and I guess the sweet dream that the recruiters sell to us, if we believe that, or we just join because we need a change of direction. So I'll start with my perspective as to why I joined. It was pretty much, civilian life was going nowhere, and the way I see it, because the job that I held at that time was got me drive all over the tri-state area of Maryland, VA, and well, I haven't hit up West Virginia yet, but pretty much Baltimore and possibly further on to the north of that. And as I was driving around, from site to site, just to do my job, it was terrible, and I got, I wouldn't say run over, but a semi truck was forcing me off, and I have to pretty much veer off to the mid mid end. What's that word for the mid lane? The the middle of the highway.
Median, right?
Yeah, median. Yeah, so I got forced off into the median and pretty much popped my tire. So I changed my tire in the median from Baltimore heading back to DC, and vehicle just veering by, and the tire was on the side of the vehicle, zooming by. So it was a passenger front side tire. So that was like, damn, you know, driving from site to site just to do my job, then getting pretty much, that wasn't any accident. The semi just popped my tire because forced me off into median. So that's my view of it. And the next day, talk to my family about it, and it's like, you know, uh, I can't do this. It's gonna, well, this day I'm gonna get into a car accident being an Asian driver. So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much done. Just gonna quit and hold and not spend as much as money. Just slowly drain it out and sign up and wait for the ship date. So walk into the recruiter office and whatnot. And I still remember the joke that I made with the recruiter as to as to why I wanted to join the Marine Corps. And of course, that joke was from the Full Metal Jacket joke. And if you want to take a guess, that's what I said to the recruiter. You can take a guess, man.
Which line was it?
Well, you can take a guess. Whatever famous line from the Full Metal Jacket, whatever come up to the top of your head.
Shoot, man, right now I can't really think of a
It-
line that's relevant to it.
it's all right. And I forgot to introduce my friend Palm Tree. He is a currently still active Marine, so we're just gonna keep him anonymous. And of course, he's been a gamer for a long time with a great gaming history. But yeah, so I that I believe it was a line from Joker, or is it Texas, that said, I want to be the first kid on the block to get a confirmed kill. And after that, me and the recruiter pretty much shoot off well, and he told me what I need to do to be ready for boot camp, and pretty much lose weight, work out, and pretty much know your knowledge, JJ the tie buckle, and leadership trait and principle. As to anything else, that's pretty much the basic. So that's I guess that's from my point of view. And I did 5 years, got out as a sergeant. So it ain't too bad of a military career. Looking back at it, wish I we all we all do things that we wish we can do differently in hindsight. But best thing is we don't live in hindsight because that would just drive us mad and put us in a regret kind of thing, right? And what about you? You want to run down your little history as to why you joined the Marine Corps there, Palm Tree?
Yeah, so I've been for more than 15 years. I won't get, too specific about, years of service or anything like that. Um, for me, growing up in New Jersey in like the early 2000s, I didn't want to go to school. I didn't really like school. I had good grades and whatnot. It just didn't interest me, and I wanted to do something different. I chose the Marine Corps really specifically because, at least to me back then, and I had no military exposure. I thought that the Marine Corps was the only real option for me. Like, I didn't want to be on a ship. Um, I didn't think much of the Army back then. That's just lack of knowledge and stuff like that. And um, I thought that the Air Force was kind of just a civilian kind of company. Um, and then that was just my like teen years, right? Like early my late teen years. But no, I mean I chose the Marine Corps because I wanted to get something out of my time in the military. I wanted to leave New Jersey, um, do some traveling, kind of just see who I was, and also like I said, it's not it was to me it was not college, although I am doing college part time right now. Um, but I definitely wasn't ready for college when I was younger.
Yeah, nobody is. I did some college, but college wasn't for me, and I was just bleeding money while working. It's like, nah, I'm done with it. And I haven't done college since. Just school of hard knocks, and when life keep on, giving you punches, the only thing you can do is get back up and put up your dukes, kind of do, and not get hit, and learn from where and how life swing at you. And that's it. That's basic for those that want to go the hawk knock way. But if there's always will be an easy way to go, and that's basic college after military or doing military. It's not for everybody, and I try not to live in regret with it because I'm happy where I am in life, and you know, who who, who can say, right? You make your bed and you just lay in it, kind of deal. At least that's my mentality. So when you, I guess when you signed up and talked to your recruiter, of all the promise he made, did you get what you wanted?
That's a really good question. I don't know, and at this point, almost again more than 15 years later, I really don't know what promises he really made. Like for me, when I walked in, I wasn't just walking in to get information. I wasn't walking in to, what we call like window shopping or service shopping. Like I really walked in to join. So I don't think he really had to go do a whole lot to get me to do it. Like he just had to go explain stuff, and then at some point later on, I actually had him talk to my parents about it. But I didn't care what my parents said. Like I was doing it for me. I wasn't doing it for anybody else. And I have no, I don't want to get too far off topic here, but I have no family that was in the military beforehand. So I really went into the military by myself. Like I had no exposure to it. And that was there's obviously pros and cons to not having any prior exposure, good or bad. But the recruiter, I don't remember if he really promised me anything. He was likable and he was a talker, so that made the whole process easier. But in my case, I was just going to go join regardless. And I
Yeah.
think that's how people should approach it. I don't think you should have to go be recruited per se. I think, you know, you have to actually want to be there to not just to show up to boot camp, but to actually make it through.
Oh, definitely. It's all about knowing what you want and pretty much execute on it in the sense of, when you and this go for all the branches, when you go in there, sit down and talk to a recruiter and actually sign to be in the delay entry program, that is pretty much your basic first step to become an adult. So you have to think real hard before even approach the recruiting building. And then once you make that choice, all you have to do is just, pull up your breeches and act like an adult. Do your best to finish what you sign up for if you choose to sign up, or if you just go in there, ask for knowledge and whatnot. But once you sign that dotted line and get onto that bus for training, yes, try and do your best, or just do your best without trying. You got anything to add to that topic?
I mean, I would definitely say you're gonna get out of it whatever you put into it. It's not just a boot camp or MCT thing. It's also like the actual fleet. Like, like I guess one of the good things about the military is that, especially the Marine Corps, is you're really gonna get out of whatever you put into that. I know I'm kind of just repeating myself, but no, it's really true. The people, if you just show up and do the bare minimum, then you get out, you're not gonna have anything to show for it. But if you actually apply yourself, if you learn a good skill, maybe get some college classes, get some certificates, like you can actually leave the military with um, a couple college credits, maybe a college degree, different certificates, certain clearances. Like you really have to apply yourself.
Oh, definitely. That's a big thing. And I have a short clip here, uh, just to put thing on a more a brighter perspective of the fun of military life, I guess. And I'm gonna play it right now.
Well, I knew that Portugal, and he asked me before I signed what I would like to do in the Marines. And I asked him, I'd like to first get the dress blue uniform. And he told me that they only issued the dress blue uniform to seagoing Marines, band members, and to embassy guards. And I told him that I got seasick and that I didn't play an instrument. Could I be an embassy guard? And he says, well, he said, you're 6'2", you're in shape. He said, I'll put that down as your first choice. And he said to me, where would you like to serve? Well, I knew that Portugal was neutral, and I knew they had two colonies. One was Goa in India, and one was Macau in China. And Macau interested me because of the gambling. And he says, well, then I'll put down Macau as your first choice. Well, I want to tell you, to this day, I'm looking for that recruiter.
I hope you heard that.
Unfortunately, I did not.
Oh, damn, that's terrible. I guess I gotta work on my stuff. Uh, I guess my end for the broadcast. Hopefully it went through. If not, I'll put a link on the I'll put a Let's see. Let's see if I can find it on YouTube. But it's pretty much the speaker was a World War II vet. Here it is. And copy link address. And I'll post that on the comment. But yeah, he's pretty much uh, signed up. He's a well-known vet for World War II, so it's an old video. And pretty much the recruiter asked him what he wanted and his choice of duty station and whatnot. And in the end, he picked Macau for gambling because he loved gambling. But just like everything that those that believe the recruiter and the words, he didn't get his choice. And of course, he's a World War II vet, so we all know where he ended up. So I find that to be funny, as to that is what the majority of the Marine, especially the one that finished boot camp and whatnot, hit the fleet, and that's the inside joke for Marines when we talk to each other as to how we end up where we end up in the Marine Corps fleet. Now, I guess the next topic, the friend that we made, right? Because you and I have been friends for a long time because we're both serve in the same unit, and not only that, when we have time off, we play game together. And of course, since our unit is always training, we pretty much run into each other a lot, and that's how we become friends. And of course, the friend I made are still the same folks I kept, even though it's been 15 years now. So I'm still talk to them on and off, and of course, sharing ideas and whatnot, asking for them and their perspective because everyone come from a different background. And pretty much keep in touch. Be a brother and a sister keepers kind of deal to either sometimes to our own detriment. Losing sleep over folks that we share a meal with, share a drink with, and whatnot. Pretty much, I guess what I want to say is, since you're still active duty, how many folks that have gone and left, of course, besides me, that you still talk to, and we'll go from there.
So, great question. I still talk to quite a few people. It's not obviously as much as anymore now that I live in Japan, but I've lived in North Carolina when I first met you. Went to Southern California over at Camp Pendleton. Did recruiting duty in New Jersey. Then went back to Virginia Beach for my duty station after recruiting duty. Then I was stationed in North Carolina for the second time, and I was doing an infantry battalion tour. And then now I'm in Japan again. So in my case, I still talk to kind of a few people. We still stay in touch. It's not the same level because I still have a job. Some of my friends have moved on. Some are still in, but there's definitely people that they meet who are just they're just solid dudes, and that's one of the good things about the Marine Corps is a lot of people join. Some are kind of just average Joe. Some are like a little bit low performers, but you do meet plenty of people who are hardworking, intelligent, give you their shirt off their back kind of people. I'm glad I met those people, and I still probably keep in touch with a good probably five or six that I met that are just solid human beings.
That's good. I mean, everywhere we go, there will always be good and bad. From my perspective, there are a lot more good than bad, especially Marines. And, those that are bad, they don't tend to last long. while serving, and then the ones that leave the military, they don't tend to last long as a civilian. The Marine Corps, and of course, most military brands harp on, the principle, leadership trait, leadership principle, and that pretty much instill you into, if you didn't have any direction when you grow up, that perspective will give you, an idea of what an adult should be. All that being said, those that join the military with, I guess, a terrible family background and carry it on in their life, do you think or have you seen they change?
So you're asking if people change from a bad background to a good background?
Yeah, in a sense, if there are folks that just want to change the environment and hopefully do better, kind of do. Have you seen any changes from at least your, since you have longer time in service than I do, you see a lot more of those, and I have shorter one, and I see a few, but they don't change. At least, since most of the time we spend on a personal level, I don't see they're changing versus their professional level.
So change is a choice. And people can change a little bit and they can, regress and they can change again if they want to. Um, I don't think this is really a military question necessarily. I think it's more of kind of just a life question, right? Because, could I have made it in the civilian world if I never joined the military? I mean, maybe, maybe not, but I don't have to worry about that problem anymore. I chose the military, and while there have been several benefits, there's also been a lot of cons, right? There's always pro cons to everything, but um, I've had hard units. I've had leaders that I didn't necessarily, think much of, right? But I made the choice that wherever I go, I'm going to apply myself. Put in the hours. I'm going to be coachable. I want to be flexible and just meet the needs of whatever section I'm in. But that's my choice. And I chose to be better. I chose to get my put the time in, get my associate's degree. I'm close to getting my bachelor's degree. Now I've used over $15,000 in tuition assistance money, and I'm going to keep using it to get my bachelor's and maybe even part of my master's done too with the military TA program. But I've also seen people who they've regressed back down to just their immature, childish, selves, and you can help people, and I've certainly give people multiple opportunities to change their ways, but you know, we can't stop getting older, like age-wise, but growing up is a choice.
Oh yeah, just like so me and Palmtree talks a lot about investing, and of course, my favorite is Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and of course, their favorite saying is "stupidity is a choice." Since they don't know, what stock to invest, they'd rather not make stupid choice and just stay with whatever they're confident in. So that's pretty much, you can bridge that if there are folks out there who doesn't understand that you can mitigate your choices by not doing stupid thing, and that's wherever you go, military or civilian life or financial life, you know, it's pretty much all the same. Try not to do stupid shit. Everyone can see a train wreck coming from a mile away, and they sometimes get caught like a deer in headlight. And of course, if everyone need help, military, all branches that have professional specialized in helping, and there's will always be professional helpline in the military, is everywhere. If you look for it, if you search for it online, there's always going to be helpline. If you need help for anything, there will always be professional that pretty much are there. If you reach out, they will answer and they will do their best. If you have anything to add for that kind of topic of professional helping out those that in need.
Yeah, I can talk about it. So, the military, especially the Marine Corps too, there really was a stigma back then where if you sought help, if you had problems, if you admitted to problems, then there was a fear, and I think that there was a credible fear to not seeking help. That way, you wouldn't be seen as a problem or a loose cannon, and you couldn't deploy, or you couldn't go to some like TAD opportunity or some school or whatever. So, uh, you know, 15 years ago, I think that there was a real legitimate concern for seeking help. But I think now with the new generation, and people will cry left and right about how the new generation is soft or whatever, but the new generation, like they they're more aware of. I think that they're actually more educated, right? Like I think they're more aware. I think they're more. I think they have the words to describe how they're feeling and why they're feeling certain ways. And I think getting help is actually seen as generally a positive thing nowadays. Yeah, there are some old crusty salt dogs who think getting help is wrong, but most of those dudes are already out. Um, and personally, I've actually used some of those different services on Military One Source, and like I'm still in, have my clearance, and actually a lot of stuff you'd be surprised it doesn't even go onto your clearance thing. Like there's certain thresholds. But in my case, I did not have to report it because it didn't meet those thresholds. So um, keeping your clearance and still getting help is not; those are not opposite ends of the spectrum. So what I would tell people is if you have things going on, like you have to address it because things don't just magically get better with time. They really really don't. If you let things fester, if you let things build up, like if you don't start managing it or solving it, it's going to come and bite you. And it's going to bite you when it's least convenient for you to deal with it.
Oh yeah, that's life. People tend to see negatively, and when the negativity hit them, it's gonna hit like a truck because they see they think they saw it coming, but it's gonna be left right punches, and it would never stop if you don't take care of all your demons kind of deal. But yeah, military one source, and of course anything is pretty much you can search for it on Google. Nothing is hidden, especially any help that you need. Event wise, there's always event source, and military wise, you can type in your branches, your duty station, your where you're at in your state, and it's very reachable. All of that is not hidden anywhere on the search engine. So I covered that topic because we all want to be brother and sister keepers, and you're still active. There's that, and if you're not active, or if you are a savant now, reach out to your buddies, those that you call friends, brothers, sister, and they will answer because I know I answer as soon as I'm able to, because since we're savant, we're obligated to, different point of view rather than a military point of view right away. We got job and whatnot, so picking up that phone, returning that text as at the earliest convenience, because when you're a servant, you gotta put family first, and sometime when you swipe right on the notification, you tend to forget, and that go for me too. Sometimes I tend to forget and I swipe right, but I'm habitually online, so the text online through anything, I'm pretty much reach back right away within hours, latest within days, but never in a week kind of deal. So, you know, for those out there that listen to this, there's always somebody's that willing to help, especially those that you know and serve together. If not, reach out to a helpline, reach out to anybody before you make a decision that you cannot come back from kind of deal. Because I guess you've seen that a lot, especially recently. But I don't think we're gonna cover that since it's pretty much very close and probably break the PII personal identifier information and give you away. So we'll leave that at that. Let's see. We cover the initial entry as pulley. We cover brothers and sister keepers. I guess the thing that we can do on our downtime as a Marines, right? Besides unit function, there's there's a lot of story where Marine get drunk and doing a lot of dumb stuff, but again, that's personal choice. And I personally just DD for most of the folks that drink, and of course, when I drink, I don't drive and stay in the barracks area, walking distant. So personal choice. And I guess I only got one duty station, so I wasn't going anywhere. Of course, besides training, but training always supersedes enjoyment of R&R. A little drink here and there. Training always supersedes that. So yeah, it's all about personal choice because we all know and see those that do partake doing training, and it's always frowned upon, and that get corrected real quick. You got anything to add on that little small topic? I guess.
Yeah, so in the off time, a lot of Marines drink, and I think safe drinking is kind of sensible, but you're never going to be a peak physical performer if you're drunk. If you're working out, if you're proficient in your job, if your physical fitness is in a good state, like if you want to consume alcohol, like one or two drinks or maybe even three or something like that's one thing. But when people become alcoholics by choice, when people like do dumb shit or get DUIs, like that's a conscious choice. I mean, yeah, they were inebriated, but um, being mostly sober, like there actually is a benefit to that, and I really personally kind of hate the whole military drinking culture because it doesn't like drinking doesn't really solve anything. It doesn't. It might make you feel like you're having more fun, but you're actually not. You're not able to think straight.
Oh, that is correct. Because I remember this one time I was DDing for my little group of Marines, and of course, the kid was young, and if you were to imagine an all-star, he's no Pat Tillman, so he's fit, but he isn't as big as a personality like Pat Tillman, where like 6'5" and whatnot. He's more of a 5'5", 5'4", and he have that all American look. The funny thing is, he got too drunk, and the girl he picked up, yeah, she was to me in my eyes, she was a three. So he didn't pick up uh the ones that meet his caliber. So he's just out there just picking up anyone that's easy. So we all have laugh, after when he wake up and regret his decision. And of course, we don't let Marines live with that. We kind of rub it in for at least a month worth.
I'll tell you for that. There is, and actually, this happened in my last unit I was at too. I was in Camp Lejeune. I won't say the actual unit for PI purposes, but I heard stories of dudes who would go out in town, pick up like, for lack of a better term, fat chicks, and they would bring them back to the barracks and do adult activities with them, and like if they want to do that for on their off time, like so be it. Like it's not my freaking business. I was an adult, I had my own place. Like if people want to consume alcohol and interact with the locals and do just Lance Corporal-esque activities, if that's what people want to go do, fine. But you got to be careful with not just what you're drinking. Be careful with where your drink actually is. Someone could actually put something in there. Be careful with your freaking vape pen things because people will share it, but they'll have, you know, different substances in their little vape pens. And honestly, that's kind of not talked about enough, but people need to be careful with who they're having um, intimate moments with because you wake up the next morning and this person might not even look the same. They might not have the qualities you actually would want in a one-time intimate partner or even for like a long-term relationship. I just wish people actually put thought into who to spend their time with and also think about the qualities that another person brings into their lives. I think that is unfortunately a huge afterthought in society. And what all this could mean is that someone marries the wrong person, someone gets the wrong person pregnant, or even someone's life could be, ruined because they did something wrong when someone else was, inebriated. So I hate to kind of circle back on it, but the truth is I don't think alcohol is really in any way a positive. And most activities that come from alcohol, they're probably going to end up ruining your life in some kind of capacity.
Oh yeah, yeah. You gotta when you consume anything that will pretty much hinder your train of thought, your cognitive, I guess, if that's the correct word. But yeah, it's all about the partner you decide to spend your time with, kind of deal, right? Partner in marine sense, partner in if you decide to have a spouse who you want to trust, especially when you become so drunk that you cannot make your own judgment. Because I know I have run into this issue with people, and I guess when they get drunk and they just lose their mind, lose whoever that they want to project out for the world to see, and their inner demon took over. Because this one time when I was still in and I was back home, gone to a club with a group of Marines that came home for the holidays, and just a bunch of folks that was in that program together. So we meet up, went to the club, and of course we talked to all the ladies there, and one of them, this is the one that I remember the most. She was there, and of course her husband. What I wouldn't say former, but I don't really remember the story. But her husband is let's call him prior service because they seem like they've been out for a long time. So they're probably military, and of course he couldn't held his alcohol and pretty much go off on her, which we're a bunch of folks who doesn't know them, just interacting them, talking, shooting the BS and just yap away, kind of have fun. But there, me being sober and DD, and that just sit with me, and had a little conversation with her. And she's like, yeah, he get like this whenever he's drunk and whatnot. So yeah, there's there are things that you should know your limits, especially when it comes to alcohol. And luckily, he have a good partner to take care of him, because I was offering like, do you guys want me to call a taxi and whatnot and get you guys home? Because it doesn't seem like it might not end too well if she, I wouldn't say live without, leave the club area without another eyes on them, like a taxi driver having an extra eyes, because it could have turned bad. It could have turned violent. Who knows, right? Because we all trained to expect the worst, right? And hope for the best. So, and that was like at least a decade ago. So who knows how those folks turn out? And of course, another one, another story, which is from a few years ago, 3 years ago at best, as a civilian life. And one of my coworker, he's a Marines, and you know he came from a bad family background, I would say, because they're dirt pool, and he got out of that situation, did his time in service, got married with I guess his high school sweetheart, but she also grew up in that white trash kind of environment, just like he did. So their, I guess, their area of confidence didn't uh, didn't change much. So he only did one tour, came back, and pretty much regressed into whatever that got his family right, drugs and whatnot. And I don't even know how he not get caught while he was still in, because there were talk, but it's all just talk. And he finally got caught at this event, having a good job, and then got caught up in drugs because he let whatever his demon take over. So to go back to what we both said before, there are service out there to help you with, and sometime when you underestimate your demons and relapse, because he relapsed at least twice as a civilian, doing civilian job, uh, along with me, and of course I didn't. And a lot of folks who are there at the time, they have to held him at a higher, at the reasonable standard. I wouldn't say higher standard, but reasonable standard that he would expect of them. So, we want a drugs-free environment. So we pretty much, hey, time to find another job, because this job isn't for you, because you have no self-control. So he lost a good paying job, and I haven't keep in touch with him since. It's been at least 3 years since he found a different job, and and it doesn't pay as well as it could be, and definitely doesn't pay well enough for him to spend the extra money on crack cocaine and whatnot. Or is it meth? Is meth the one that you use the spoon? Because I think that's meth, right?
Is meth what?
Meth, is that the drugs that you boil over a spoon and inject it?
Uh, Honestly, I don't know. I want to say yes, but I'm just not sure, honestly.
Yeah, me too. But he was passing outstanding, and he have that what my coworker since I wasn't there, what my coworker called MF high. So he was just standing there and out of it. Oh shit! Today is November 7th, Fallujah. On November 7, 2004, U.S. Marine led an Allied offensive to liberate city from 4,000 insurgents. It was designated as Operation Phantom Fury. This battle would become the longest and the bloodiest during the war in Iraq. Hmm. Well, happy Fallujah. I totally forgot all about that. But yeah, I guess that's my story as to two of my Marines. One I served with, and one I met from civilian work. That they let pretty much let that demon freaking take them and relapse into the environment that they try to escape. So those that happen to stumble upon this little talk and think that they can escape, the best is if you given a choice, take it and get away from your environment. Do not go back to a high school sweetheart that pretty much doesn't escape from the same environment, doesn't have escape from the same mentality that you want to have. Because his wife, from what I know, was the one that enabled him to go back to the old freaking trailer trash kind of life. So, uh, there ain't much you can do. You can only take care of a person so much, and you know can't go out of your way to save a drowning person if that drowning person doesn't even know he's drowning, kind of deal. Uh, that topic was
That
heavy.
is true. Do you want to talk about something else, or you want me
No,
to
no, go
elaborate on that
ahead.
a little bit?
If you have a perspective, uh, at least a 2 cent you want to input.
All I can really say about that is you really have to think about um, where you are and who you are, and then think about who you want to be, and think about the steps it takes to get there. And not everyone thinks about it like that, but if you're just doing, Lance Corporal-esque activity in the barracks, if you're just getting drunk every weekend, if you're not going to school, if you're not, you know, if you don't have an exercise size program, if you're just eating all the food you can see, uh, if your actions just don't align with who you want to be, then where are your actions aligning to? Because that friend of yours, and I'm not sure who that is, but if that guy married some girl who was not helping him or whatever, if she was getting him back into his old ways, then she's a bad influence. I hate to say it like that, but that the truth is the truth, man. Like, your spouse, your girlfriend, whatever, that person is going to have the single most influence over your life. So if the person you married, whether that was a good idea or not, the person that you end up marrying, like, they're going to either, help you get promoted or help you make more money or help you invest or give you kids, right? Those are the positive sides. The bad side is, well, they could divorce you, they can take your money, they could cause you to get into bar fights, they could cause, fights with the neighbor, they can feed you junk food and cause you problems, and they can cost you your career or they can cost you a promotion. or in some cases even cost you your life. So choosing the right intimate partner um, is actually the most consequential decision most people will ever make in their whole lives. And unfortunately, it sounds like he may have chosen the wrong one. And that happens. I've done that personally. So it sucks to choose the right one, but choosing the right one is huge.
Oh yeah, that is true. So I count one for my active duty days and one in my civilian. That's not a bad ratio for one active duty that fall out because I know within with all my 10 digits that there are Marines who better themselves, with proper spouse and proper family background or the way that the Marine Corps changed them and they grew up to be a proper adult. And let's see, one one guy who married his high school sweetheart went to the same unit as we did and probably was there when you were there. He became a sergeant and then he became a Mustang. I don't know if he's still active duty or not, so I'm not gonna mention his name. And he married his high school sweetheart. They pretty much, she was there and support him when he was pretty much, that he married her because her family doesn't have money to cover health insurance, and they decided to marry right away. They got married, and of course he's served and got sergeant, then gold Mustang. So I don't know if he's still active duty or not, since he doesn't have any online presence. And of course uh, there are two that I know, three. Yeah, there are three that I know offhand. If I were to look around my online uh, listing, there are probably more than three, but I know there's still no, there's four. Wow, I know four that are are active and they're Mustang. Of course, two of them are no, three of them are warrant. One of them is Mustang, so four officer, three warrant, and one Mustang. Um, yeah, if I were to look, it's all about partners because the last time I checked, a few years ago, they're pretty much have great partners. If not, they probably found some great partner by now. But one out of four for active duty ain't too bad, at least for my ratio, since I only have 5 years. If you, I don't know if you can count, or at least top of your head. Uh, do you have any good ratio like that? Bad to good ratio or not?
Ratio of guys who crossed over from enlisted to officer. I mean, I know of a couple. Actual, I know of one recent one like, or actually, I know of two. They were my juniors, by the way, but I know of two that crossed over about 2 years ago to warrant officer. One was just selected for warrant officer, and that's great. Like that's good for them. Um, I think I know who you're talking about from our previous our first unit together.
Yep.
I won't mention his name, but
Yeah, he's
I
still
think that's who you're
active.
talking about. But I don't. I think he actually retired. If it's the same one.
Now mine's still active. At least my four are still active. So probably someone different. But no, we'll just keep the name to ourselves. But yeah, that's a great ratio, especially if you're a go-getter, know what you want, make a plant. Plant don't always fall through, but it's good to have a plant because if you aim high, even though if you miss, you still hit your target, kind of deal. And it's better than having no plant at all. I guess the next topic is on Secretary of War and his his recalling all the general and talk about their PT standard. I find that to be laughable because I have read some comment online, and a lot of folks, said that the Marines didn't cry, bitch, and moan about it. So all of the other branches better step up, and especially the generals. But all of the pretty much the whole junior to senior enlisted, and of course junior and senior officer need to step up to the Marine Corps standard because we are the highest standard in physical fitness. Um, and I do agree. At least my time, my time when I was still active, first class. Uh, not the top tier first class, but still a first class Marine in PFT and CFT. And I guess from your perspective, since you're still active duty, the standard is always there. But after that speech, how did the active duty Marines take it?
When the Secretary of War now, because they changed the title, when he made that like his agenda, his goal, like I don't think that it's really any different than what Marines are supposed to do anyway. Now, what I will say, when I kind of do have a personal bias towards, is, we're fudging that height weight tape bullshit, and I won't go into detail about it. People know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Um, uh, tape is a joke. Um, every service, like internally, like people don't want to talk about it, but I'll tell you, dude, internally, like there is not people fudge things on the freaking PFT plank, and the CFT is not measured correctly half the time. Like, but what I will say is, while the Marine Corps has gotten a little bit fatter than what it did when we were both in at our first unit, like we are still leaps and bounds over the Army and Navy, and I would kind of think the Air Force. Um, I get why the Secretary of War is coming at fat people, because the military got fatter. Like, and that's not, I won't solely blame service members. Like, we don't know where half these people came from. We don't know half their freaking backgrounds. And, you know, you can have a little bit of empathy with someone's background, but, at some point there has to be a standard that's actually enforced. And the Marine Corps, even though it's not perfect, we do have a standard that is usually enforced, usually equally enforced across the board. Other services, I'll just say it, they're a joke, man. I don't know how it's defined or described, but the Army has this thing called profile, and I think the Navy has this profile thing too. It's a joke. Like I don't want to get too far off topic or too far into a rant, but the service has to have better chow halls and actually give a shit about teaching service members about um, how eating is how we should be properly informed to actually eat better, to be better physically, but also to just not be overweight. The chow halls don't have they have zero education about it. It's not really they're on them necessarily, but the service is not invested into educating service members. Like we don't do it. We don't do it.
That's true. Well, the funny thing is, now I can say through my experience, the Marine Corps experience, is that the folks in the Marine Corps know how to do calorie count, because I know, at least if I were to recall, three, and one of them is from our unit that publicly is a bodybuilder and of course competition, and there are two from a unit that I was FAP out to, are bodybuilder, and they do amateur competition. So we do have that, and of course those Marines are willing to help when asked, and of course if you want to commit and so on, you can after after the initial help, if you want to commit, they're willing to help with that commitment. So they're at least from my point of view, the Marine Corps know how to, at least personally, on a personal level, that we know how to take care of our health and keep fit. Because every Friday is a dress service, service Delta and Charlie, I believe, if I remember correctly. So, gotta look good for that barracks inspection. I don't know if you have anything.
Every Friday, that's gone.
Oh, that's gone. Damn.
That's gone, dude.
I mean, I would go for a Monday service inspection, and of course, along with room inspection. I don't know if you guys still do field day inspection or not, or at least the Marine Corps still do.
Room inspections will always be a thing. For field day, I mean, yeah, that we do have that, but Chuck Fridays is not a thing anymore, at least not service wide.
Uh, well, it probably was either squadron or duty station. That too, because I remember folks, everybody within our line of sight were in their service for Friday inspection. But yeah, that does keep people fit because you don't want to look nasty while you're getting inspected by your NCO and staff NCO. Now, now with I guess that was a fun topic to talk about Secretary of War. Now we can go on to R&R, I guess, with all the programs that cover recreation and whatnot around their local base. And there's a lot of things to do around base without involving alcohol. And to those that think about joining, they can always look up, what program the military have to offer. And of course, those that are currently in, they should know how to do that by talking to their NCO. So I guess from your perspective, have you used any of the R&R program that the Marine Corps have to offer besides schooling, TA?
So I've used a couple. I know when I was at Lejeune this last time, we actually had it was a mock thing, but we pretended that it was a counter UAS thing, but basically it was a kind of a going away party for everybody. We all went to the on-base skeet range and we rented shotguns and we shot like 40 some odd shotgun pellets or not pellets, but slugs at clay pigeons, and that was actually really cool. Um, so you have skeet ranges on base, and there's archery ranges too, which I've never personally used. A couple times I've rented boats. They're pretty cheap. Um, and I'll be honest, I've kind of underutilized most of the services. The ones that I use constantly is the gyms on base. Like they're normally like pretty good, um, pretty clean. Serviceable equipment usually. Um, Quantity of equipment can definitely be a sore spot because you cram everybody into the same gym on one base at the same time, like before work, during lunch, or after work. Go figure. It's busy. Um, there are services, and I mean, unfortunately, I've kind of underutilized some of them. But um, I know there's over here. There's a really big scuba store on base. I did get a mask and a snorkel. I did some snorkeling with that, so that was actually pretty good. Um, I have used the movie theater on base a couple times to watch movies because the tickets are like $2 or something. Like it's stupid cheap. Popcorn's cheaper, so it's almost half the price of off base. So I've taken advantage of that a couple times, but that's about it for me. But there are definitely more services.
Oh yeah, cause I do use the services. Of course the basic gym, and those gym are fun. There are pool when we used to have what's that pool exercise that people do? I forgot what they call, but we do have a group
Swim ball?
No, not the swim call, but pretty much is doing your R&R time, right? And we do have a group where Zumba. There you go, full pool Zumba, and the instructor was a Marine from Lejeune, I believe, that drove all the way down to Cherry Point, and then I guess he let his cert run out, or they no longer doing the Zumba for pool, and that's when the last time I talked to him as to why there's no Zumba for the pool, and so there's that. So pool Zumba, and this is the not the marine pool. This is like the civilian pool on base. So you know, for outside of military hours, outside of working hours, that everyone can use. Uh, and then there's the Zumba in the main gym on base, the big gymnasium where people play basketball and whatnot. So the Zumba class, and I went and explored and saw those kind of opportunity and took them, and I kind of like them, because they're there for both civilian and military. And funny thing is, I dragged one of my buddy with me, and we just did it, just for fun, because we both didn't have anything to do, and going by yourself is just it just feel weird to be around civilian, and of course when military personnel are outside of uniform, you can't really tell them apart besides their haircut and their demeanor. So there's that, and we had fun. At least that's my experience when taking the R&R of the military, and of course the biggest one that I took is the trip down to the Caribbean with the military, and that was, of course, you have to pay, but it was at a discount, and the base pretty much drive you down there and then pick you up and drive you back for like 3 night kind of deal. I don't remember how long it was, but I think it was 3 or 4 nights, and that was fun. So if folks who listen to this get a chance to take take some R&R, or want to see what the Marine Corps or any service brand have to offer, then just take it. There's a lot of thing out there that a lot of folks don't want to do, like Zumba, like, oh, Marines doing Zumba, but your body is stiff after freaking hard gym workout. Zumba is just dancing, and just relax your body and move your joint so it doesn't get stiff up. And I find that to be great for after gym time, especially when you're prepping for PFT and CFT. And that's my point of view on all of the base recreational stuff that they offer. Besides that, I pretty much have nothing to add on. You have anything else to add on?
Uh, so so for that, and hopefully I don't kind of booger this quote, but it's something to the effect of um, being I think it's being nervous is just it's an unexplored emotion. So if people are scared or they think Zoom is going to be weird because it's a girly thing or whatever, like what do you have to really lose by doing Zumba for 30 minutes? Like, I haven't done it personally, um, but it doesn't mean I couldn't end up actually liking it at some point. Um, like Zumba can actually be a good workout. Actually, yoga, like women who do yoga, like they have stronger abs than men do. Like yoga will kick a dude's ass, especially if you haven't done it. Like all this like gym bro culture where people just do squats and bench press, like those are good for like building muscle and power moves, but you're not flexible. You're not preventing injury by being able to bench 225 or 315 or whatever. So having a variety of um, workout movements, getting a good stretch, that's actually good for your body. Like getting some variety is actually healthy for your body, contrary to the Marine Corps gym bro culture.
Oh yeah. With that being said, there's a little I guess snippet out there for those that watch baseball, especially the World Series that just happened, and one of their pitcher wasn't expected to pitch, and the coach, of course, they're Japanese, and the coach isn't a coach. You know, he's a personal trainer on the physical side, and pretty much he helped the pitcher stretch. And the stretch that he advised the pitcher to do was a full body stretch kind of deal in the sense of throwing javelin, right? Because that is stretching farther than pitching. Because pitching, it probably the range of motion isn't as full as holding a javelin and throwing it. So, to those who believed in the gym bro culture and just go and lift heavy stuff and or lift not lift lightweight for a lot of time, there's always different kind of exercise out there rather than just the lifting weights. Just stretch out, do a full motion body stretch, do 8 count bodybuilders kind of deal. Always do something because if you were to limit your range of motion, you're not going to get a full, I guess, you're not going to get a full workout in a sense that, you limit your body to a certain motion, just hand curl and, suicide press and whatnot, leg extension and all the stuff like that because calisthenic is is great and folks shouldn't forget about it. Kind of do, but yeah, I do agree, man. Gym bro culture shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't be the top kind of thing that we put on pedestal. It should be everything. Um, I guess it's that that cover most of it. Besides deployment, which I don't think I want to cover it because everyone deployment is different and every point of view is different. Love and hate, whether they love and hate their deployment. Um, but we've been, damn, time sure go, time sure fly by. Uh, we're an hour in. Is there anything you want to, I guess, pass on to the next generation or whatnot? Because I don't think I will do this kind of stream talking about the Marine Corps until probably next year on the 251st birthday next year. So I don't know if you want to say anything for the 250th birthday.
All I can really say for most people is just evaluate where you're at in life, see where you want to go, and actively do something. Maybe not every day, but actively have a weekly or monthly goal to achieve. Whether that's just you know reading a book, starting a new skill, recording how many hours you're putting in at the gym, recording your workouts. Like, find some kind of way to just evaluate where you're at and where you want to go and where you need to go. Because if you just wake up every day and you just start drinking and start working out and stuff, and yeah, time flies, and you can make more money. I told this to Guardian already, but um, time flies, and you can't buy your time back. You can always work overtime. You can always make more money. Um, you can make more time, so make your time count. Don't just wake up like it's a freaking accident. Wake up with an actual purpose. Do something, even if it's small. Have an agenda for the day, the week, the month, and just make yourself better over time. And you'll be very surprised how much you can change in 6 months, a year, 2 years. You'll also be not surprised at the same time where if you wake up as an accident, you will just be 5 years or 10 years older, and you can actually achieve nothing in 5 or 10 years with no plan. And even with a weak plan, you can achieve a lot in 6 months to a year or two.
Oh yeah. Yep. Because it's funny. I still have good old Green Monster booklet here, and I open it up. I still see my exercise routine from top to bottom: neck, shoulder, chest, abs, core, legs, and of course, heel. Pretty much a full workout of like exercise and whatnot. And I look back at it, I was like, damn, I was going hard on it. I should divide it up to a portion like most people, but I did a full body workout with light lightweight to medium weight kind of deal, rather than maxing out like most folks. That's why I divide up. But it's all about moderation, and I want to leave at least my word to the next generation of Marines. And happy 250th birthday. And just take things in moderation. Nothing can stop time. Time will always moving on, and time will always drag you along with it. So to mitigate all that bump in the road, do your best to not cause any hindrance because you are able to see the bad thing coming. So you gotta move it out of the way, or at least move yourself out of the way. And the thing that you are not able to change, well, just take the hits, accept the bed that you made and lay in it, and then get up the next day, carry on, because that's the only thing that you can do to change the bed that you gotta come back and lay onto is that better yourself. So I'm gonna try to load the 250th birthday message, and we'll gonna call it a gonna call it a stream and end the stream. Let's see if I'm any good with this. I'm trying to sit. Hmm. Ah, there you go. Yay.
The very core of our being is that we're convinced we're the best fighting force in the world, and the truth is, we are. When that eagle woven anchor is put in our hands, we close our fingers on it and it begins to burn like the fires of hell. Always remember, fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision.
that concludes our stream. I hope those that watch this later on in life or stumble upon it find it to be educational, and hopefully it bettered them in any way that it could. And if it can't, well, there's nothing much you can do but carry on, because tomorrow would be a better day if you put more work into it. With all that being said, have a good night.